Broadcasting from our studio in Ocala, Florida, I'm Brody Barcode.
I'm Ryan James.
And welcome to the Parlor, your hub for independent art and entertainment, as well as a platform to showcase independent artists and entertainers abroad. Now that's gourmet.
That it is, sir.
Hanging out with us tonight in our Parlor Theater is the incredibly talented independent artist, as well as film production educator, Mr. Howie Jones. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm still here. How are you guys?
Not too shabby.
Doing pretty good.
So how's things going on out in New Mexico?
Slow currently, honestly. But it's good. I mean, the weather's getting warmer, which is nice. There's a lot of hiking to be had. Yeah, and I'm gonna go search for Bigfoot soon.
Nice.
Are you acclimating?
To what?
Like, try to be one with Bigfoot?
Not yet. No.
Just not enough hair.
It's the thing is, I don't think he'll see me because I'm only 5'2".
Oh.
So,
Well, the thing is, I mean, I'm losing it here too. So, I mean, I'm just trying to keep my hair where it doesn't look like the shady comb over that Jeffrey Combs had in The Frighteners, but this is the best I can do.
yeah, no, I lost mine at like an early age. So my top, it just migrated,
Oh,
essentially.
well, at least it's still here. Because it is a magnificent beard.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I recently had a cut actually for the first time, and I think it was like 14 months altogether. I had it. It was like down to here, past.
Wow. Brody's had his snipped a little bit too.
This is just a Velcro strap on, but
do you let your girlfriend touch your beard or
no touch?
Bouncy.
No touch. It's all for show.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have your own like barber that you go to too?
No. Brody the barber. That's it.
Brody's the barber. Nice.
It is, man. Yeah. So definitely a lot of upkeep. That's for sure.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Imagine it just like grows all over the place.
Oh, mine just grows more on one side first before the other one decides to fill in. So it's like, oh, I got to go gauge at a certain gauge on this side before it matches up with this side, and it's like at some point it just looks weird. Just can't figure it out.
Yeah, I don't even like discussing the amount of money I put into like product for this. Otherwise, it would just.
It just reminds me of that scene from A Million Ways to Die in the West whenever Seth MacFarlane goes into the mustachery.
Yeah. It would be a very bad Mobius.
Have you been to like a beard competition at all?
No, man. No.
Have you?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
I always see the aftermath of them, and some of those beards are
ridiculous.
Just impressive.
A lot of earwax going into that stuff. I've seen like an Eiffel Tower sometimes.
Yeah. There's one that still I remember. This guy took his beard and made a bird cage with a working door in front. So it was kind of like the jackal from 13 Ghosts with just a hairy beard cage. But this one, he's like, oh, I'm going to have my tea now. It was incredible. And it can be found on YouTube. So it's definitely worth watch at least once and go, well, that was something. Definitely something.
If I ever start a side project band, I'm going to name it Hairy Beard Cage. I just thought that just sounded really legit. So
it's kind of catchy, yeah.
And
It is.
everybody wears gimp suits.
Furry gimp suits.
They're all busting at the seams. And, the stuff that I have in my head is it's like between Pulp Fiction and the Yeti have merged, had a baby, and they had a lot of Rogaine on top of it that just turned into like part Tribble, part Gimp, part Yeti.
Yeah. But under the mask, nobody has beards. It's kind of weird. So how's things going out in Mexico for you, man?
He said it was slow.
It was slow.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's nice.
What's the latest project that you've been working on?
Myself.
Ah.
I've written 3 shorts that I've been trying to do
No.
for about 3 years now. And I finally have the kind of time to actually do them.
Nice.
That's very cool. That is definitely a lot of things that have a lot of the consensus during this time. I mean, people have been able to write, try to figure out new ways and think of different ways in order to get some of these things done.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in your field, being that from what you told us earlier, is really on safety and trying to get something like this done. How would you go about trying to fulfill some of these short films?
Oh, so I mean, keep it simple, stupid, and keep it small.
Yeah.
You know, keep it under 10, like a 10-person crew.
Yeah.
Not including actors?
Oh no, including actors too.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So you just need a good camera operator, a good director, good sound, and then a good editor. Well, that's post production, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really wouldn't even consider that part of the crew at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that you can. I mean, depending on how you're wanting to edit it, if you're wanting to edit scene by scene ahead of time, I mean, that's a Dropbox link away,
Mm-hmm.
a retainer, so to speak.
Yeah. And plus, how I've been shooting is with natural light too, so it eliminates G&E essentially.
Very cool. So, as far as coming into the business and that of the film industry, how did it all begin for you? Like, where did it all start?
So I mean, not necessarily film. I've been in entertainment since I've essentially officially when I was 18, but like when I was like in my teens, 13, 14, I got heavily involved with like the local music scene. I just started going there, networking, and seeing like how things operate. At 18, I booked a resident hall for $50 in my hometown, packed that place, did a punk show, and from there, at 20, my friend got a bar, and I just started producing shows. And then from there, from 20 to 30, I was doing music and comedy essentially. And then my main gig, I got fired, and then my friend got me a chance to be on a film down in New York. And then at day 3, I knew what I wanted to do, and then I just pursued it.
Nice. So, like, what would you say, like, as far as with that in the business, what would you say is like your main forte as far as for that of generally what you're doing on set?
What do you mean forte?
As far
What's
as
your primary job whenever you do production?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you start off like in a actual film production, you start like everybody starts on a base level as a PA, production assistant. Okay, now your general PA is a set PA, which is usually under the AD department. Okay. But from there, then you just branch off. You just network and you find the department you want to work for. There's, there's just
trial and
multiple.
error.
Yeah.
And for
And
everybody
you just
out
find
there
out
that
what you
does
want to
not
do.
know, an AD is an assistant director.
Yeah. Yeah. And so those that don't know then, on a film set, a production day, you have at your AD department, so assistant director department, camera department, your gene grip department, electric department, makeup department, hair department, and then am I missing the sound? And so each production holds at like on that day at least like on one of the bigger ones like depending anywhere between 15 to thousands of people. I've worked on small independent things where it's only just guerrilla style, 4 or 5 person crew. And I've worked on Marvel shows where we had background that reached 1,700 people, So
God.
That is ridiculous.
Not including the props department.
No, that's just like background. That's just background.
Oh my God.
Crap.
Imagine being a PA in those days. Those days were fun. The change of command.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's definitely tiptoeing every step of the way without getting a question if you don't know what you're doing. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I think I think that's what I like about like film, working in film specifically, is that if you have good work ethics, you will keep getting hired. Like I got into film at age 30. And like halfway between 31, I was turning down jobs already.
Oh.
Just and so I just started giving away jobs. So as long as you keep doing, you just do the job that you're supposed to do, and just give it your 100. Don't like bump too many heads. You like you can climb the ladder fairly fast. Well, at least not climb the ladder, but at least get consistent work, I should say.
Right, and actually find your prospective place, so to speak.
Right.
Of the realm that you would prefer to be in.
Mm-hmm. I would say if you want to climb the ladder faster, then I would say put out your own things then.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's how like you've been like these days you get noticed, honestly.
Yeah, but it's also a double-edged sword at the moment with COVID going on, the pandemic. I don't know how YouTube likes those words. It's become overly saturated with content of all sorts.
Well, I mean,
but I do agree with you. I mean, putting out your own stuff and finding the proper channels to get distribution and advertising. I mean, independent film it's all about advertising for the most part. Major productions, that's a whole nother animal.
Yeah. No, well, you don't go after the feature first. You start with shorts, shorts, music videos, do something, keep it simple, stupid, and then build upon that. What can you take from this project that will help this project grow? Right.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, Jordan.
I was just gonna ask. I mean, with that size of a crew, going back to like a 1,700 person production there. As far as from safety and or that of once again just that of COVID like protocols. I mean, is there anything you can touch on that as far as like what needed to be done or how things were handled from that standpoint on such a large scale?
Bubbles.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I haven't worked since last March, so I'm not really sure. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Wow. I mean, because everything has changed so drastically. Yeah.
Yeah, but so what I'm hearing, how they're taking precautions, every like, um, it's it's a weird, honestly. It's helped increase work, honestly.
Right.
And because like in New York, I mean, you gotta have Teamsters, drivers. So because now your 15 passenger vans can't hold 15 people, they can only have three. You now have more vans and drivers. So
Right.
it's but because these things are now costing more, also the bigger budget productions are the only ones that's been lasting.
Wow. And I was gonna say because, and I know earlier we were chatting with regards to that of the union that are the Teamsters. Is
Mhm.
there anything that you can kind of add or comment on as far as how how that's going about?
So
How does the
well, I mean,
union tackle the this type of work during these times? Is that what you're trying to say?
Basically.
well, I mean, well, I mean, yes. Uh, so how like production has been tackling these things
Mhm.
has been depending on the production. Honestly, as a good production
Mhm.
is they're getting they're getting rapid results for all your actors essentially, and that includes all your backgrounds. Okay,
Right.
before not only releasing them on set, but they also do those longer term ones too. Um, People get tested at like depending on the department that you're working on, like in um, you get tested at least 3 times a week. There should be sanitation stations constantly. People you should not be eating at in close proximity. Um, one of the other things is that there needs to be space, open air. You can't have any closed windows. You need to have like constant air flowing, fans. You know, I mean, they're they're taking a, like just they're doing the best I guess they can.
Mhm.
But on the flip side, I think they could do better.
Yeah.
I think because I think we should go back to like original, a lot of like older ways, styles of like filming. We don't need three camera departments to get one shot. You know, go back to like just one camera. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to be eliminating a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, keep rewrite your scripts. Keep it simple. Like have only 2 to 3 actors. You know, sure there are like I know Succession is having a lot of problems right now. HBO Showtime, right?
Mhm.
I think
Mhm. Yeah.
um, because they were building up to this grand third like season, and then yeah, it just sucks. But you got to adapt somehow, but you got to be safe about it.
Well, it's a lot of. I agree with keeping things extremely simple. I mean, focus on the meat of the story with these three actors and whatnot, and you can still come up with some dynamic shots.
But that's the thing, Ryan. What is story these days?
Yeah.
A
Right.
lot like because the thing is, in film they flash you with this. Do you know each shot is only 6 seconds, like at maximum 6 seconds these days? They cut like each because they just need to keep your attention span. They don't really care about story. And I think that's another problem that a lot of these companies are facing because they don't really have like a good like story structure to certain like franchises.
Mhm.
You know?
Like the music industry with the 15 minutes of fame, that it's overly produced and not a lot of creativity that goes into it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know I've grown into listening to a lot of overseas bands because you could tell that there's a lot more passion involved in it, not hindered by management. So yeah, I could see where you're coming from on that.
Well,
Definitely.
the whole cookie cutter aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the cookie cutter aspect is the same thing
Yeah.
that our previous guest, the Sif Akbar, said too.
Yeah, making comment about that,
I
because a
mean-
lot it goes on so much.
Yeah, I read going though sidebarring real quick. Do you know where a lot of budget goes?
Food.
Like so no, marketing. At least
Oh yeah,
30% of a
100%.
budget. And that's absurd.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
I think you just like honestly like the way I see things, the way of progression is that companies are going to be forced to be doing making these big changes in order to survive,
Mhm.
or it's going to be people like us that's going to basically use the free streaming services to get people's attention.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Oh
Well,
yeah.
and that's such a huge thing right now with
Yeah.
everything streaming. That and the biggest thing too coming into play is with HBO Max, that here you have all of your movies, well, not all, but the majority of movies that to be released to theaters are now just going straight to streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
the demise of the environment, the excitable environment of being in that crowd
Yeah.
at the silver screen,
Yeah.
which could be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it cuts out a unique thing is cutting out a lot of the middleman by self producing. I mean, it will change the way certain things will be done. Like independent bands, they will produce their own record, and all they got to do is just get to a distributor. They give the distributor a cut. They give the master a cut.
Mhm.
But now things are digital. They can almost cut that out completely.
Yeah.
They just
Mhm.
sign on. Okay, hey, here's our latest deal. Boom,
Mm-hmm.
and you get it quicker
Yeah.
because you can't go to Walmart. You can't go to Best Buy. There's no more music stores
Yeah.
essentially. And if you're lucky, they look like the yard sale down the block.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely not the
Like our
90s.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's not it's no longer the 90s. It's no longer the early 2000s. Yeah. As far as that goes. Yeah.
But back on the production aspect of being safe, keeping it simple, you could keep it safer and you could I mean, there's ways to think outside the box, having two or three actors, but yet if you wanted another set of actors, creatively cut to where it feels like all of them are interacting with each other.
Yeah.
You know, you're just moving the crew from one location to a next,
Yeah.
and the actors could be there for a couple of days and still get some of this out there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Keeping
I
costs
mean, that's
down.
one way to do it.
Yeah.
But trying, I mean, we like really in-depth and intriguing stories. But then luckily there's still the market for the absolute fluff films that is like, okay, I'm just going to sit there just to be entertained,
Yeah.
which is okay too. I mean, I fall victim to that quite often, especially as of late because I'm just tired.
Yeah.
But I I like a good, compelling story that
Yeah.
makes me want to feel for the characters, makes me relate to the characters.
Yeah.
And like you were mentioning with like the whole editing too. I mean, with technology these days, I mean, you know, like with Mandalorian, how they made that. You know that, and then that's what I was trying to go for like making your own things, like what you can do, what Mandalorian did, you can do that basically on your own for under $40,000 altogether with like the black magic these days and just a little Unreal Engine or Blender. If you
Mm-hmm.
know those 3D modeling, I'm actually learning Blender currently because yeah, I want to be doing this, you know.
I dabble a little bit as well,
Yeah.
and my
D-
mentality
what-
of working in a 3D space frustrates the ever living snot out of me at times because I know what I want it to do, but why isn't it doing it? Because oh yeah, my XY is completely off over here, but this camera where I can see everything is right where I want it. No, that's not how it works, buddy. but for it's very powerful software, and I've seen some
yeah.
amazingly beautiful things out of it.
Dude, I've been using it for right now because I'm still learning modeling, but I've been using the 3D print things like Volkswagen. Yeah,
Nice. Actually, my
yeah,
3D printer is printing some STLs from Thingiverse right now for a friend of mine.
yeah.
Nice.
Pokemon fans. Yeah,
I'm Mystic.
yeah. And then I'm finishing up with the Valor right now.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's just I think that's we're at this cusp of also like a film renaissance. You know, we have all these technologies. You can I'm going to create props. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a really cool time and terrifying all at the same time.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, because I mean we're seeing this transition.
yeah.
We really are. And as we're seeing these doors close that we've all been so accustomed to, here are these new doors opening that's like,
Mhm.
oh hey,
Yeah,
have you tried this? It's right here for you.
absolutely.
You know.
I and I think we're like the production, like where film is going to be going in the next 5 years, because we're experiencing what we experienced in the 70s, back in the 70s, like 60s and 70s, where we're oversaturated with westerns. Today we're oversaturated with superheroes. You know,
Yes.
that bubble is going to burst, and so it's going to be like these things, like using Blender and Unreal to change again film, the
Yeah.
course of film.
Right. And now with this change, how do you think that'll affect you being unionized as a PA? Or you're are you really a PA? Are you are farther up the food chain on that?
Yeah. So I'm a little further up.
Okay.
Yeah. So going back with PAs, when you find your department, each union that represents that department has criteria to be able to join that union. Um, yeah, I don't know if you know this, but in order to join the DGA, that's Directors Guild
Hmm. Hmm.
of America, kids. In New York, at least, you need at least 600 days union to be qualified to join the DGA, and that's a lot of tough work, guys. I
Yeah,
don't
so
know if you.
with the Screen Actors Guild, I think it's like 2,000 hours, and then it's like $3,000 to drop in order to be in it or something like
Screen?
that.
No. So it depends on like I don't know the specificity for like the levels, but for SAG, it's just being background. You just need 3 vouchers.
Oh,
Mm.
okay.
Yeah, when you the production, like if it's a union project in your background, be like if you're just day playing, ask for a voucher at the end, and you just need three to be able to join. I think it's like 1,200, or
Okay.
I'm mistaken.
Okay.
But I mean, just depending on the and what you're doing. But I mean, again, if you just do your job, you know, you'll get noticed. You'll climb up. I mean, you go from background to if you just have like a speaking word or a speaking line, which is like what, 5 words, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, that number goes like they pay you pretty nice, and then you have to join a different tier because you're now speaking.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, those that could like be up to more money,
Gotcha.
you know.
Okay. Well, how do you feel uh, at your current level? How do you think the this transition, to put it in more positive light, would affect you in the future of your current position?
So my current like my current like career has been in locations, essentially a locations department, because there's like locations is going to be downsizing, you know. I like it's going, if this continues and people like don't get a control of themselves, like we're gonna be forced to stages, you know, essentially. Because if you can, like going back with like Unreal, right? If you can mimic any environment that looks real, you know,
Mhm.
who's to stop you? You know, I think that's like the arrogance of like New York City. Is like been talking to a few of these film people, like hey, how do you feel about like the productions happening in there? Like, um, they think that production's like production's not never going to stop in New York City because of the exteriors, you know. But if you could like mimic that, then it's a whole different ballgame. And then because like that eliminates the locations departments, because now you're being pushed to stages. You only need stage managers, you know.
Well, in the locations department, you would still actually have to. Well, I mean, even hell, even with Google Maps out there, Street View, they can somewhat give you some ideas of what you're doing, but there's still nothing like having that person walk down that path, take those images, either with a panoramic shot or something like that, to give you a better generalization for recreation. So that would still, it might still be a really relevant position.
But I
But
think,
downsides, yeah, I could see where you're definitely coming from
but
on that.
I can see too from Howie where you're coming from. I mean, cost and savings, you know.
Well, there's still also the safety aspect as well, being on those airplanes and traveling that way.
I mean,
Like,
to basically be able to get that shot from
yeah.
going in that direction for what you're talking about. I mean, that's money saved, that's time saved. I mean, that's in a
So I
positive, it's ridiculously cool, I think.
Yeah, and here's the other thing why like productions are going to be moving towards also a digital thing, more like Blender and Unreal. On a production, I don't know if you know this, but do you know for like per program, um, per user, Adobe, okay, so you got Premiere, After Effects, right? They're paying at least $15,000 per person, per user, per project.
Wow.
Um, I think if I
That's a
remember
rental.
correct. But yeah,
Yeah, the software's a
um,
rental.
yeah. Um,
So
Blender,
all right, that boggles my mind. It, are the ones using it, are they getting a complete copy that they get to keep?
no,
Oh
Then
wow.
it's
why?
just license. It's a licensing fee.
Right? I,
So Blender and Unreal, they're only about $1,500 per for the entire project.
those engines, I understand though. Though I could buy Final Cut for $300 and it's mine, and I can come up with really good quality production value. But you're paying $15,000 to a user.
1,500.
No, 15,000 for Adobe. 1,500 for like the Blender and Unreal is what I've
Oh,
heard.
wow.
That's a
Yeah.
drop in the bucket for those. That's incredible.
My
Yeah.
That's
God.
very generous
And-
for the Unreal Engine, considering and how long it's been around. And same thing with Blender, considering I've got it's free. I don't know what differences that there are. I mean, I get because if they utilize that software, it has to be credited in the movie at the very end.
Exactamundo.
Okay, so that for still advertising, that's still a tremendous savings just for the software.
Mhm.
But for Adobe, they are just
Wow.
giving it the old one too. Oh yeah, go ahead. Everybody else is paying $50 a month for software that they rent. Anyway, I can go on a tangent. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's okay.
That's the only. I am not.
It's the
I
good
am
old
not-
licensing fee.
I'm not one for renting software.
Yeah. That's why like I've always been like a pro open source, you know?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I did buy Final Cut, and I am perfectly happy with it. I'm learning motion, and I'm perfectly frustrated with it. But I like to learn, and that's okay. You know, for decent software, you can get it and keep it. But anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. I'm going to go on a tangent.
Okay.
I apologize, man. $15,000 for the software per person. So I mean,
Yeah.
we talked about
And-
marketing. That's not only where it goes
Yeah.
for the budget. Wow, that's astonishing. Okay.
So yeah, going back to
Lost track of
safety.
where we were at.
It's okay. No, going back to safety though, right? Every chance that production will take advantage of you, will take advantage of you. You know, proof taken with Adobe. But yeah,
I mean, it is powerful software. I give it that. But yeah, that is a huge a huge budget
Mhm.
drop. So,
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
and so yeah, we were talking about like going like locations and then
Yes,
going
yes.
back into yeah. But yeah, that's where we're going to be going. I think is pushing to stages. You know, getting smaller crew and being people are going to be becoming more inventive.
And
With
I think that's the biggest positive side of it.
Well, just curious. I mean, from a spitballing aspect here. I mean, all right. So we see that one cost from production, but let's say you wanted to be able to get that shot down in Times Square. I mean, what are you going to be spending, to be setting up to get that shot?
Okay, so it all depends on your location manager essentially or scout and all your connections. Okay, um, I've learned a lot of cheats working in New York City. One rule in New York, as long as you're like not your production's not stationary, like if your camera's not on legs or stilts, you know, they can't really touch you. Um, okay, so we've faked, not fake, but we've gotten some really great shots like coming off of subways. You know, just as long as it's like on handhelds, they can't touch you. We're getting Times Square. Glide cam?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like a drone?
No. A glide cam is a vest unit where
Oh, almost
it's
like a steady cam.
Oh, that's a steady cam.
yeah, okay, that's
Yeah,
under the
so it's
classification of Steadicam.
Steady cam.
yeah, you cannot because it's mounted on something.
Okay.
You know, right?
Okay.
So as long as like you can get like a really awesome exterior shots in New York City and like in your car, right? Just drive around. As long as it's not rigged to anything, okay, you
Well,
can
luckily
pull
with
off
the
your.
traffic, it's slow enough to where you can get those shots.
Oh yeah, yeah, you definitely can. So it depends on like who, yeah, again with your location management, who they know. Something with Times Square. Hold on, I gotta get capture. Sorry. Something with Times Square is again like who you know. I've worked on a project where they spent $7 million, you know, on it. And then I worked on a project where he knew somebody and we got Times Square for free. And we put a llama in Times Square. And that was a great day.
That's awesome.
For the
Yeah.
fact you got to play with a llama on Times Square, or
You can go through my Facebook. It's on my Facebook.
all right.
Frank the Llama.
I think I've heard. Wait, was he in Llamageddon?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
He was in Deep Lampack. Sorry.
Oh. Okay.
So, where did it all begin for you, as far as
That's a great question. Where did it all?
where did it all begin?
See, there's this llama.
Yeah. What do you mean, like working in film or like?
When
Or
did you
just-
know it was
Yeah.
your place to be?
when you just said, okay, this is it. This
Okay,
is,
so my first gig was a stunt unit for the Dark Tower in New York City.
oh wow.
So that's my friend that got me. He got me a day. My day turned into 4 days, essentially.
Because
On
of
the
work
third,
ethic?
I'm sorry.
Because of your work ethic?
Dude, we were like it was a stunt unit. We were blowing up buildings in New York. You know. I mean, I was just like a PA on like the outskirts, holding up your general like your bottom line, your like entry level PA is just like locking up traffic in New York City.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, and so dealing with that for, maybe I was delirious because we were working 18-hour days. You know,
Oh wow.
18-hour days, or maybe the lack of sleep or something. But by the third day, I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And then so from Dark Tower, I networked, and then I got onto season 1 of Bowl,
Oh,
and then yeah, that just progressed. And by my third year working down, yeah, my third year, I went from a set PA in the AD department to the locations department, where I just climbed like went from what is called a unit PA, when they are in charge of like keeping like restocking like um, production supplies
Mhm.
on the day, and also kind of doing cleanup. But you work those days, and then Suki and who was working. I was working on FBI season 1. So how hard I was working, I guess, and then she got me. Then I got me into the locations union.
oh, that is awesome, dude.
Very cool.
Yeah, and so yeah, so it's not. I mean, it is hard work, but it's not hard. You know, and I'm
Because you're
like,
passionate about it.
I think, yeah, I think that's a drive too. Like, it's not cut off for everyone. I mean, if you can't stand at least 14 hours on your feet, it's not for you. If you, I mean, if you if you like sleep, this is not for you. You know, I mean, and just like yeah, it's a drug, honestly, and it's an addiction. You know, But once it hits you and you play the game right, I like for me, it's yeah, it becomes a passion, and then you just expand from there.
We keep touching and going on the safety aspect too.
Okay.
Um, and we know that this is one of your big things, especially being having been a production assistant and now in the
No,
locations.
yeah.
Um, how would you change some of the safety guidelines or some of the safety activities, protocols? That's the word I'm looking for. To,
overall,
yeah.
overall, just properly train them. You know,
Okay.
I like the good stories I've heard are like the people that are in charge of monitoring COVID is the COVID marshals, right? Um, Properly trained people you have a safer set. Um, Untrained people, you're going to have bumps. You're going to have background that walk onto sets that are positive, and yeah, um, proper yeah, sorry, proper just education. Just you know, that's overall.
Okay.
And as speaking of education, what and I apologize because we're just about out of time here, but
Damn it.
what no, speaking of education, what kind of advice would you give to the kids that are wanting to go into this realm, to go into this field, to look, I want to get into this business and
if
work my way up, and the idea of being behind a camera, what kind of advice would you give them?
I mean, if you're
Or
really
how?
going to pursue
Yeah. or
if you're really going to pursue film, if it's like a passion, like really a passion of you, don't go to school. Just because everybody starts off as a PA, you're doing just your basic lockups, You learn more on set than you'll ever learn on school, essentially. And what your teacher and that's the other thing. Your teachers have only one aspect of film, only one focus, it's theirs.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's what
yeah, I had a lot of
you have to have your
confrontations
eyes
with it.
open all the time.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
because I was gonna say and comment to what you just said. I mean, you're right there within the real world realm of education, and you're getting hit with it, and you're seeing it from every angle.
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, and you just adapt, you learn, you keep basically you keep your head down low, essentially your first year or 2 years, and just learn everything you possibly can in whatever department you want to work in. If you want to become a director, just be work 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 as a general PA, because you'll have a better understanding of how film actually works rather than theory,
Right.
I guess. Right? Yeah.
No, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes 100% sense.
Mhm.
And that
But
verbiage was
don't
terrible.
get me wrong. I understand the importance of school for me, because I have a bachelor's in mathematics. For me it was networking. You know, but yeah, this is just film is one of the last true apprenticeships I feel in the world, because you have hopefully paid, sorry, on job training. You know,
Right.
and then you just keep accumulating those days, and then you cash in those days to join in whatever union you want to, if you want to.
Do you think being in a union is worth it?
For me it was. I joined because of health insurance,
Now,
um
do they also help you get gigs or
no, so yeah, that's another thing. They're just there to make sure you get paid this amount of money.
Okay.
And give you also incentives too. Like for like locations, they pay for your car essentially.
Hmm.
If you don't have a car, they'll provide you with a car. If you do have a car, they're paying you at least, like, for instance, $75 a day.
Wow.
That's not including gas.
Right, and you get a mileage for that.
Yep.
Okay.
No, you get a flat. I'm sorry, you get a flat 20 on
Oh,
top of that, at least 20.
That's
and
awesome.
now for getting the gigs that you've gotten, is that a lot of that is by word of mouth, or do you have like an agent that in that field? No, I mean,
No, you,
I
no,
think it's
that's just, no.
awesome.
No. I don't mean to. It's just, I don't mean to
It
make you
sounds
laugh.
weird.
Yeah. No, I wish I had an agent. That's why I laughed. You know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. No. So yeah,
Howie's
it's
like, no, no, agent.
yeah. Again,
Yeah, I don't have an agent either, so
yeah. If you just do your job, like word does get around.
awesome.
Um, it and because like it's yeah, it's you just network and people know your work ethics. You know.
It's nice to know that in
That's
certain
so kick-ass.
industry,
It really is cool.
yeah, in certain
Absolutely.
industries, the idea of a good work ethic still thrives in today's day and age where a lot of people expect things to be handed to them. If
Oh
you
yeah,
work
no.
hard, you can still be recognized for your hard work,
Mhm.
and it can still pay off in the areas that you want to be
Mhm. Can I also? I want to also add another note too.
Oh, absolutely.
in.
Good.
Uh, when you, I mean, get a feel for set first. Work a few days or weeks or whatever. Um, another advice would be don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that's what a lot of things that I've come across is people like I don't know, maybe people are timid or something, but as long as you keep asking, like ask the right questions, I guess, and don't piss people off. I
Mhm.
mean, showing the incentive that you want to learn will also help you get more work.
Good. That's good to know.
Well, it's that level of just being willing to communicate, you know?
Yeah. Also, um, but we're going on with work ethics. Showing up on time means arriving to at least 10 minutes early on your on set. You know,
Yeah.
if you do, yeah. So you just do those three things. Like people notice. Producers, ADs will notice.
Yeah, I
You know,
know within theater, if your call time is at 6 o'clock and you show up at 6 o'clock, you're already late.
I want to be starting like as soon as I walk onto set. I always like I always ask like, when are we leaving? Because like I just want to get the day over with. Be there on time. Everything will be fine. And then yeah,
How fast does it feel when you're working on set? I mean, you say you work 18-hour days.
yeah.
I
Depends
mean,
on
I
what
know
kind
at
of
some point it's
project.
going to feel like it's a long day, but
I'm sure there's points too where it's just like
Yo,
you look at you're
holy
watching.
crap,
Oh,
it's
3 hours just passed. I just blinked my eyes.
right. So it all depends on what the project you are on. If you're on the
fair.
streets, if you're doing exteriors, you're standing like like the 14 hours. It's going by fairly fast.
Yeah.
But if you're like on a stage, things start to slow down. I've been caught sleeping sometimes, which is, I'll be honest. you know, but it's just a different pace. It's just like the, all the shots. You know,
That's
what's going on that day.
Really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, some wonderful information. And you did mention also that you wanted to be an educator. I
hmm
mean, uh, are you pursuing? Are you an active teacher now?
I'm trying to be. So one of the things that each state that has a film incentive, 1% of that goes at least 1% of that goes into film training programs. While I was in New York, there was a program called Made in New York, where they taught people how to become PAs. And then when you graduated, it was a 5-week intensive course. When you graduated, we put them into productions. You know, so I want to bring that here into New Mexico.
Cool.
Because like if I feel like I feel a lot safer going back to work if I can educate people on how to essentially run or work a proper safe site. You know?
That would be very, very cool to have. I mean, even just to learn about that for
No, I
people
think,
that have
the
never been on
process of
set
it,
before,
that would be very cool.
having a standard that goes across would help the film industry get back on its feet too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I mean, you're going to run in people that are not like seasoned, you know, or conditioned to like the film life. They're just grabbing pe- people off the streets. If one like the resurgence comes back, you know, and that's gonna it's it's unsafe.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
I was gonna, well, I was gonna ask. I mean, that program is it, I mean, available? I mean, aside from New York, I mean, is there other ways that you can? I mean, just via the web to, as far as like a link to go to that, or is it specific for?
So it's specific for New York.
Gotcha.
But I mean, if your state has a tax incentive, they have a program. Just gotta look it up.
Yeah.
You know, contact your state film office and your state film representatives. Bother them. Essentially,
Okay.
you know.
Well, I know, yeah, because I know Florida.
Oh,
Where,
that's another thing. Be assertive. If you,
yeah.
with film, just be yourself and just, yeah. But were you saying Florida? Sorry.
Oh, no, no, I was gonna say Florida's with regards to the tax incentive and the filming industry. It's always been kind of on this seesaw, if you will.
I mean,
Well,
particularly.
because they don't want to go union. That's the reason why. Because you when you become union, okay, so that's the thing is these you have more safety protocols. You can't get away with the like paying like $100 for a day, you know, for crew. You have to pay these standard amounts. And so that's why these like certain states won't flip, like Georgia, New Mexico, Colorado, you know. But it's coming because they need it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, and you had mentioned Georgia because that's where everything a few years ago
Yeah.
there was that the cross tie, if you will, there between Florida and Georgia, and yeah.
Well, a lot of people were threatening to pull out of Georgia for lots of different
Well,
reasons.
there
I
was
can't
that, yeah.
pinpoint any off the top of my head at the moment.
Yeah.
Because that was where Hunger Games, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
like a Marvel film too.
There's a
Yeah.
good amount that
Spider-Man.
goes on. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a good amount
yeah.
that goes on in Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, but not, well, obviously not as much because I know it's all around the Atlanta area.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that Atlanta is almost like Ocala. All roads lead to Rome. Because I mean, you will pass through Ocala if you're on I-75, no matter which way. I mean, if you're on I-75, you will cut through Ocala no matter what. We're just the horse capital of the country, world, whatever. But there are some independent filmmakers out here trying to get something together, and they are wheeling and dealing and making something out of it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is very, very
I mean, I highly recommend bringing any film into any state because when we work, all we do is just spend. You know, on local communities.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
And like Breaking Bad, just to give you a number, each season of Breaking Bad was like producing New Mexico in a revenue of 6 million additional, I think, at least.
Wow. I wouldn't have known that. That's very cool.
That is,
Yeah.
Very cool.
And more money just means better, I think, like better things for the states.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and even if I would say for New Orleans, another hurricane hits, films go in through there. I mean, part of that marketing will, they can lower the marketing budget by giving back to the community for helping rebuild. I mean, heck, they're still rebuilding from Katrina, right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
They're still. I mean, it's hard. I mean, people are still trying to recoup from lost homes and stuff like that. I mean, there was a lot of people homeless and
Yeah.
killed in that.
Yeah.
I mean, there was even a Top Gear episode when they were trying to go through there, and that's where they ended up because they bought some beaters and then they tried to sell the cars out in New Orleans. But they wound up actually giving them away to people that actually needed them. They fixed them up. I know that they had fixed them up after the fact to give these people cars, so they had something. And that kind of a thing, giving back to the community. I mean, they're outside of the governmental aspects, they could actually do more for the communities that really need a nice uplift, something to really turn something around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be I think that would be a nicer gesture out of Hollywood and stuff like that to kind of steer away from the politics that are looming over us every day as of late.
Yeah.
Yeah, politics. If it helps the gears turn or something. See, I'm like what we were talking about with like open source. I'm pro like information.
Yeah.
You know, I'm I want to try to help my fellow like brethren,
Yeah,
humans, I guess. To succeed.
absolutely. I mean, the world of open source, there is so much contribution that is done that they take cents, monthly, and they get a few 100,000 people giving these cents in a year. They are able to finance bigger and better for what these people believe in
Hmm.
without robbing them blind.
Yeah.
A lot of people can take a lot from that, and this is starting to get a little too political. But the idea of
But that's why I want to do like the education is because I feel like people don't know these things. But if you're informed, then yeah. If like honestly, if I knew this information when I was like 18, I wouldn't have gone to school. You know.
No,
well,
no, but I mean, once again, to be able to have this information out there, I feel that it's incredible,
Yeah.
and once again for kids, entertainers, artists to be able to hear this and get an idea of, okay, this is the world that we are now in. It like I said, it's practically priceless information.
Yeah.
So
And knowing these things, meeting people like you, like Bill Oberst, Hick Sheremy, Erica Summers, we're all sharing these tidbits of information to hopefully eventually collaborate on something greater for a passion project, the greater good of an industry that is having a hard time, and not necessarily reinvent the wheel, but become safer, more educated for everybody all around, and
Well, it's
make something fantastic.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I see it as incredibly just well-founded positive bridges being built that, is establishing a very solid foundation to that of where we all stand in this, independent field.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, we've gotten to know some wonderful people out of it, and we would hope to be able to work with them, including yourself, at some point, especially after the pandemic has finally settled down a bit, or from what we learned from you, take on some of those and help your ideas become a standard
yeah,
in
Mhm.
working in the realm that we want to work in.
Yeah.
yeah, and I gotta say, man, I am really thankful for you to, come and hang out in the Parlor Theater with us. This has been incredibly fantastic.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, no,
But
absolutely.
I want to leave one last note to your
Sure,
listeners.
Thank you.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Do what you love. You know, I mean, he, a reason also is why I want to teach is because people overthink. I think like your like maybe story or shots or whatever, and they crumble. You know, just keep it simple, keep it short, simple, and just grow from there.
And try new things here and there, but
Yeah, learn as much as possible. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that all too well based off of what I was telling you before the interview.
Yeah.
Uh,
Don't get stuck. That's what it is. Don't get comfortable.
don't make
Always
things
reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah. My motto is always to inspire, to aspire, and to inspire. You know.
That is a great motto. That is a great motto.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you very much, Howie
Yeah,
Jones.
thank you so
No
much,
problem.
man.
Are you sure we have to cut this? Sorry.
Well, we can
No, I'm kidding.
let. How about this?
Part two.
We're gonna say our spiel, and we're gonna keep recording as long as Zoom will let us.
Okay.
Sound like a plan?
Yeah,
Fair
that's fine.
enough.
And then whatever we record from here on out, we'll go into the podcast.
Just
All right, cool.
after hours.
Ugh, my throat's starting to get dry. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go blue after this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But everybody, this is Howie Jones on the screen, not here.
Hey, you're not Howie Jones.
No, this is like phases of beard here, itty bitty, fluffy, and Yeti.
It's like that. Where's that drawing with the Cro Magnums? Like growing?
The evolution.
Yeah.
Everybody, hit the subscribe button. It'll be over here. Hit the notification bell. We hope that you enjoyed this episode so far. You're going to be hearing the other stuff in our podcast. If I could talk,
car.
a podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many more. Check us out there. Check out our videos that I'm going to have a button here for our playlist of interviews. Not trying to
Hola.
And thank you very much for joining us in the parlor.
Have a happy one.
one.